Dallas, Texas, Jeff Grinnell. Jeff, good morning. Thanks so much for
Good
being
morning.
with us. Jeff, I'm wondering, and I know that you're in Texas. We keep talking about how we can prevent future attacks, how we can make schools more secure, how we can prevent something so evil from happening again if we can. From a faith perspective, how can people make sense of what happened on Tuesday in Uvalde, Texas?
Yeah, one of the things that we have to focus on in this country right now is, and I know the talking points are going to be around offices and social media, right? And the talking points are going to be needed police reforms, presence security on campus, and mental health, and all of these other structures around the shootings. But the thing that we're not talking about is the importance of our faith and our families, the family structure in America. And so I'm trying to make that, there are many of us who've been talking about this narrative for a long time. And until we deal with the root of the problem, all of these other ancillary changes aren't going to matter.
Yeah, that's an interesting point. I don't think that gets brought up enough. And as we learn more about this 18-year-old shooter's past, we know that he comes from a broken home. His mom wasn't really part of his life, lived with his grandparents. His grandfather said he didn't know he had guns, even though he had just, purchased these guns about a few days before this shooting took place. If he had a more stable situation at home, maybe this doesn't happen, does it?
No, you're right. One of the things that we have to teach the family is communication. We do communication. One of the things I've learned in youth development is that even communication companies have communication problems, right? But we've got to have at least a core or a base. Things like conversations that parents can have. Look for the signs, right? The signs are pretty clear. A child is hurt or bullied in some way. A child isolates themselves. A child gets caught in violent gaming or videos in their bedroom. A child disassociates. A child sees threads of violence and anger on social media. A child is filled with images and violent conversations from music and movies, censorship, right? All of this stuff. But it's the conversations that we have to have on a daily basis. I read just recently that only 18% of fathers have face-to-face time with their parents every week.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow.
With their children every week.
That's unbelievable.
So
18%.
The conversation has to start at home for sure.
Yeah, that's shockingly low. Do we need to sort of look at how we identify red flags in this country, not just on social media, but let's say you're a parent and you notice something, like maybe you notice your 18-year-old son just went off and bought, a gun or something like that, and something might be wrong. Do we need to streamline and correct the missing element here? Because we seem to always be missing one step, and that's connecting the dots.
Yeah, that's really good. And I think that when you look at the school system, okay, they have our kids more than we do. And when you look at the school system, if we don't get reform at the educational level, then teachers aren't going to be having these conversations that will help the student. Listen, the parents aren't going to be with the peers, the teenagers, the adolescents, right, like their children are. And so one of the things that I love to do is to just talk to teenagers. And yesterday I pulled some teenagers aside and I was talking to them and I said, would you know if this is coming? Like you just said, would you know that these signs are coming? And one of them said, no, not really. What would they be? We began to talk about that, how to recognize those triggers or those signs that might lead to violence, right? So I think at the educational level, we've got to help our teachers who are with our students more than all of us, right? Even more than the home, have those important conversations. Real quick, I asked one of the students yesterday, one of the teenagers, do you talk about current events in your classroom? And the first response from this teenager was, no, we really don't. I mean, once in a while we'll get a survey. Yeah. So we've got to bring these kind of, we got to lessons, process these kind of things better.
Jeff, great points. Pleasure having you on this morning. We appreciate the perspective. Jeff Grinnell, come back and see us. Thank you.
Again, thank you.